Who are you? Where are you from? I mean, where are you originally from? These are questions we, as the children of immigrants, are asked way too frequently. While the quarantine has done just the slightest bit to reduce the frequency of these questions, it does not deter from the fact that many of us are conscious of this disparity. Even though quarantine has temporarily shielded us from this harsh reality, we will inevitably return to an environment where we know we will be labeled as an other. When the idea of power comes to mind, each person has a different image of what it is. But when we look at Shakespeare's view of what power was, there is a clear idea there: control. In Othello, the powerful is not immediately defined, but his identity becomes clear later on. Deceit, lies, manipulation are the core ways in which Iago rises, influencing Othello's thoughts and ideas. Even though Iago's rank is below Othello's in the hierarchy, we see that Iago finds himself privy to Othello's thoughts through the relationship as supposed friends. When Iago says, "Look to your wife, observe her well with Cassio, wear your eyes thus not jealous nor secure," he is slowly but surely convincing Othello that Desdemona is cheating, which leads to him murdering her. In The Tempest, we see Prospero literally manipulates lies through sorcery, constructing a world to fit his. Prospero puts Miranda to sleep because he wanted to seize more questions. He acknowledges that he created the reality by saying, I know thou canst not choose, controlling every aspect of Caliban and Miranda's reality. Shakespeare's criteria for power was rank, family, deceit, male domination, but all of those ideas lead back to the larger concept of control, which is parallel today. In modern society, power is held by the rich, the famous, the most influential. We see that power presents itself in being able to change other people's view of things. Social media has become an asset to gain power, similar to the Shakespearean medium of word of mouth. In Shakespeare's society, men had control over women, and we still see remains of that today. For example, we still see male domination in STEM fields. Harvey Weinstein is another example of male domination in today's society, as he is rich and powerful and used that to exert influence over the women by blackmailing them to be quiet. These examples only bolster Shakespeare's definition of power: control.
There are several ways individual characters are uttered in Othello, but the most obvious criterion are race and gender. Race is seen in the very first scene, and by making this issue the play's literal first impression, Shakespeare clearly centralizes it. Iago refers to Othello as, quote, an old black ram tapping your white ewe when talking to Brabantio in Act 1, Scene 1, line 97. And then on literally like the exact same page, he also calls him, quote, the devil and a Barbary horse. All of these labels never refer to Othello as human, rather he is either some animal or a creature from hell. Iago ultimately uses Othello's otherness to bring him down. He targets Othello's race-specific insecurities that no other character can relate to, pushing him to admit things like, quote, for I am black and have not had these soft parts of conversation. That's Act 3, Scene 3, 4 to 6. Gender otherness is seen through blatant sexism. Iago shuts Amelia out, calling her, quote, a foolish wife and a wench, which is pretty much a prostitute. And that's same act, same scene, 348. Now onto The Tempest, where we can see similar senses of otherness. Caliban is not a person of color, but we still see the same kind of antagonism. This is demonstrated through Stephano and Trincula's time with Caliban in Act 2, Scene 2. Like, even before Caliban is even spoken, Trincula literally says, what have we here? A man or a fish, line 25. And Stephano also calls him some monster, an egg, and wishes to, quote, keep him tame. That's 66 to 72. These quotes stood out to me because it is like the perfect metaphor. Trincula and Stephano represent society, which alienates the unlike. In this case, that's Caliban, and he is no fine just Italian man, and they literally compare him to an animal hunted for food. A study in Freakonomics reported, if Deshaun Williams and Jake Williams sent identical resumes to the same employer, Jake Williams would be more likely to get a callback. The implication is that black-sounding names carry an economic penalty. But, okay, aside from real-life examples, the media is really the worst example. The way the public outed Meghan into literally leaving Britain is quite a physical example of utterness. These headlines alone speak for themselves. Meghan versus Kate on their wedding chapels, their finances, their avocados. So, in one word, being an utter means no matter what, you will always be a society-set label of different.
It's clear that we have come so far since Shakespeare's era, For example, we have never seen more POC representation in Congress or the cabinet. In fashion, Vogue covers more non-Eurocentric POC beauty standards. But despite these improvements, those issues still exist, given recent attacks on Asians and continued police brutality on Black people. Society still has so far to go, but improvements are sure to come. To quote the great Amanda Gorman, "We've braved the belly of the beast. We have learned that quiet isn't always peace.
And the norms and notions of what just is isn't always just is.
So let us leave behind a country better than the one we're left with. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it."